If you know any other languages, now's a good time to do them too. All right, we're started, baby. We're started. So Phil Gerbyshak's here. We're going to talk inside sales. We're going to talk about a lot of different things. But what I say to people is that when you have a live show like this, it's amazing how many people think that the beginning part of a live show doesn't count. But then, of course, it's in recording forever. Next thing you know, Phil, they're just people sitting around looking at nothing. And that's how it starts.
Bang, bang, badiggy. That's like karaoke time, man. We got to go to the Blue Frog, right?
We do have to go to the Blue Frog. Although when you said that, I thought of what was the name of the bar in the police academy?
Oh,
Blue Oyster.
Dun 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 dun.
They had that song dun 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 every time.
Yeah, So does that make me Tackleberry or you? I'm just
that's a good question. I don't know who I could be. I don't know which one I am. I'm certainly not Steve. What's his face? Phil, says Carrie. And Scott Woodard wants to add an E to his comment, but good morning from Maine.
Maybe it's Main Street.
Primary state. That's why we say it. Phil, inside sales is your gig, and everybody knows that but me, because you're just still always Phil to me. You're just a Phillyist. But you've been doing this for years. You have seen the changes, the good and the bad. Welcome to the quarantine. You must have had so many conversations about what doesn't change, what does change. Start there. What changes right now for sales in the quarantine, whether or not your primary role is sales or whether or not you're forced to do it like me?
Well, I think big thing that changes is, first of all, people actually answer the phone, but they stop responding to your email advances, which is interesting. You actually get them, which means no longer do you get to really shine on your script. Many salespeople, right, they have a script, they have a great voicemail. They have one voicemail. They left, today they've got to make 100 calls. So they left 93 really solid voicemails. And now it's like, hello, hi, it's Phil Gerbyshak. What? Holy crap, I got you. Holy crap, it's you, man. Like, yep, hi, how are you? Or on the other hand, it's completely ignoring that. So those are big things that have happened, right? Because some people, their phone didn't forward. Their organization wasn't ready. Not that any could be, really, unless you're already a work from home group. But if you weren't at all ready, you didn't think about that, you didn't pivot fast enough. And I hate that pivot word, but it's important because you do, right? You have to be able to find a point and move from there. So I get the word. That's changed. But I think the biggest change, and really for me and for you, Chris, it's not a change. And that is, we have to be even more human.
Right.
Because now when we sell, we have to really listen to the other person and be present with them and spend some time with them. We can't just shoot them in the heart with a value proposition with money that frankly they don't need to spend, because if there's an uncertain tomorrow, we know, right, I've got my wallet right here and no, I'm not going to open it. Sorry, unless you give me a compelling reason. And I'm not going to give you my compelling reason unless I trust you. And
all right, so now I have a question. And also I'm going to ask you, do me a favor, unless that mic is ready for next month's new show that you're launching, you're not miking out of that right now. Is it, you want to plug it in? You don't have to, but
what do you mean?
I'm getting your audio right now. I'm getting it from your computer.
Oh, well,
like your little audio thing and set it up, because I know you're a man of good audio.
I am a man of good audio.
While you work on that, I'm going to pass on that. Also my mother. Hello, it's Phil Gerbyshak.
Mom and dad are here today.
Bed Fanning says Phil is able to match his glasses to the color of the name labels. Yeah, Phil has an abundance of fine mics. Yes. Phil is really shy, in case everyone couldn't tell.
Yes. Thank you, Carrie. I'm glad you noticed.
That's our comment.
And hi, Chloe.
Chloe's there. Yep. So when you, first off, I just have one really absolutely stupid question. Is your wallet just sitting there ready to be your demo wallet? Like, what the shit?
No. So funny enough, right? So this morning, right, I went out for my walk and I put my wallet somewhere safe. And then I was like, oh, well, I kind of need some breakfast because I'm really hungry. And I recognized that my eggs and my bacon and all my breakfast foods were dead, like gross. So I had to go out and take it. So of course I'm in my sweat gear and I put it down by my desk. And then I just happen to be sitting by my desk. So which is not the case. So you answer your question.
I was just curious. I was like, how many trainings do you have to go? Look, if you guys want to get that wallet open, you got. He's got a wallet ready to go.
Yeah,
it's a prop.
It's wallet. A prop wallet. Yeah. Well, I don't have any money in it, so I guess it's a prop wallet, right? Is that how that works?
I almost never have cash, and when I do, it's usually not where I need it to be. It's the opposite of MasterCard. Right. Phil, so you said first off, people are answering the phone, but at the very end, you picked another detail. You said that one big change in this land is that you have to be a little more sensitive. You have to be sensitive to what's changed. You also have to be aware, and people always say, well, the bad salespeople say, well, they said they didn't have any money. Everybody has money. They have money for what they feel they need to spend their money on.
Right.
Talk to those two things. Talk about empathy and especially kind of handling money challenges in the land of quarantine.
Well, empathy is absolutely key. You have to lead with that. I call it, lead with our humanity. That's really, to me, that's what empathy is. Oh, wow, that happened, or that's happening, or that's going to happen. And that's kind of scary, and that's empathy. And with that comes I understand you have 10 priorities, you have 20 priorities, you have 3 priorities. Is this a big enough priority for you that changing it, that taking the risk, because really when we make a purchase, the reason we get buyer's remorse is because the risk outweighed the reward and we get scared. So we have to then talk to them about, so what, if we change this, what happens for you? If we change this, what will be a better tomorrow? If we change this, what pain that you were suffering from do you no longer suffer from? And what's that worth to you? Now, we don't use those exact words, but we certainly have to get to the point of that, right? Of really getting them to trust. And empathy helps lead to me opening my heart, which then leads to me opening my wallet. But because if I don't open my heart, especially now in times of quarantine, if I don't open my heart, you're never going to know what my priorities are, why this matters. So take the time to really listen. And that means sometimes sales calls are going to take you a little bit longer because you really have to understand who you're talking to. And I would say, instead of thinking it as a sales call, think of it as a service call. Sales it as service. How can I add value to this person, even if we don't do business together? So if you make 100 calls a day, if you make 10 calls a day, and you talk to the same type of person, the same kind of avatar, if you will, right? To use a marketing or sales term, you talk to 10 of them a day, you now have insight that nobody else has, because most buyers are not talking to 10 other buyers, taking surveys. So Chris, what are you doing? Hey, Carol, what are you doing? Hey, Diane, what are you doing? Hey, Ben, what are you doing? Hey, Carrie, what are you doing? No, that isn't how it works. They're not sitting there taking a survey on your product or service. Instead, what they're doing is they're like scared for their life. They're like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Okay, slow down. I talked to 10 people this week. You know what? Just like you, I talked to 10 small business owners and they had concerns of cash flow. Is that a concern of yours? Would it be worth 2 minutes of your time to talk about that a little bit more, to share maybe what I've learned from the 10 calls that I've made this week, the 50 calls I've made this week? And you have to stay up on that. So now we have kind of a 3-legged stool of industry knowledge, of empathy, and then overall business knowledge, because we have to understand what the economy is doing now. We have to understand that, and we have to play into that. We have to really say, you know what, the economy is uncertain, and I understand that. Not, I guarantee this is going to make you more money.
Right.
Which we could have had before, because there felt like an unlimited wallet in the world. And now we know, even though my prop wallet is right next to me, we know that I'm holding it tight and I'm not giving it up unless you touch my heart.
There's a little less in there. So you might have seen the questions roll through. Ben asked the question, how long before people stop answering the phone again, it goes back to normal? Carrie's opinion on that might be that you only get a few more months and then they're going to all be outside playing. Like when the door's really open and we don't kill everyone when the door is open, I think it's gonna be a little while before we get people to take business seriously for a minute. Are you feeling that, or how are you training people in that regards?
Well, first, I agree with that. I think the days of just leading with business value, I've passed us by. And by that, I mean just persona-based or avatar-based marketing, sales, all those conversations of scripted calls. Not saying you don't have a script to work from, because you have to understand what's your value. You have to understand, what the typical problems are. You might have to introduce that. But now everything that happened 9 months ago is no longer relevant. Everything that happened even, 4 months ago is no longer relevant. I mean, March 12th was a big day. That was the day kind of the music died. If you're a Don McLean fan, right? It's the day the music died. So if we really think about that and we say, okay, so how can we take advantage of that, right? How can we take advantage of that? Now, for some, right, it might have been that, because I actually remember on the 13th, we're leaving work and my team's looking at me like, we're in the office. They're like, what do? I said, take your phones home. Take your headphones home. Take your laptops home. Take what you need home, because we don't know what's going to happen here. So the day kind of started on the 12th, right? But by the 13th, it was going to be a weekend. And I'm like, take your stuff home. And those who did, Monday morning was not much different for them. They logged into their computer. They logged into their soft phone and they made phone calls or they did research. The only thing that was different is how they talked to people. How long does this last, Chris? I don't know, right? I really don't. There's a lot of uncertainty in that. I would argue that it's going to be uncertain until after the election in November, because sadly, we have politicized and weaponized this virus in ways that we can't even imagine have been done. We have people saying that fundamentally it's their right to wear a mask or not to wear a mask. We've said that people have the opportunity to make choices without understanding how those choices make everything else. Then dump in the whole racial injustice time with this of a new awakening, a new awareness. Some people that support Black lives but don't support the Black Lives Matter movement. Some people who absolutely support justice but don't understand that being anti-racist is more important than just not being racist. We throw all that in a blender. Now, what do we got? Leadership is divisive, because everybody's jockeying for power.
Right.
That's the thing. I mean, everybody wants the biggest voice. And it's so fascinating to me that, Chris, when we started out, 15 years ago on Twitter.
That's right.
The fact that you and I would listen to each other was kind of a big deal. Like, you wouldn't tweet at me and I wouldn't tweet at you, but I heard you and you heard me. Well, now it's crazy, because now like 10, 50 people control the whole conversation on Twitter.
Right.
It's so weird. It's like, how does that happen? How do we take the world's most democratized medium and turn it into another mass media source? I don't know, right? So that's when I think about getting back to normal. I don't think we ever get back to normal, but I think we get back to a newer normal, a more stable time after the election, because we'll have more certainty. I mean, certainty is the most important thing. That's the most important thing when it comes to sales. It's the most important thing when it comes to the economy. Certainty breeds confidence. Certainty breeds contentment. Certainty says, Chris, I believe that I'm going to make $50 tomorrow, so I'm willing to give you $30 today, right? The old Popeye, a hamburger today for $1 tomorrow. And I believe that. I'll buy your service. I'll buy your product. But if there's no certainty, we get scared.
Right. Hey, Phil, you do a lot of training, sometimes inside for, a company where you work, sometimes as a consultant for other places, a contractor for different projects and workshops. Sales training is, it's one of those things, right? Sales training is one of those things where salespeople are almost always treated somewhat maligned. They're almost always treated as disposable, for sometimes a good reason, because, you really have to get the right fit with the right team. You can't always train a person into the team fit, because different sales take different kind of energy, let's say. Mm-hmm. One of the things I'm thinking about is that another change that's happened. I think of salespeople as almost always technophobes, but what I really mean is just please don't add another thing to my things to do. Please don't make me go into yet another system. No one wanted to learn Salesforce. No one really still wants to learn Salesforce. It's just they got forced into it, right? So I'm leading towards a question about things like Zoom, things like digital training, things like what are the ways that you're going to help these people not get bored to tears watching yet another glowing head and another glowing Zoom? How are you, the Phil Gerbyshak, making the world amazing in sales training?
Well, I think it starts with the purpose, and I'm not training on how to use Zoom. I'm training you on how to connect with other people using video. I'm teaching you how to prospect with video. I'm teaching you how to advance a sale with video. I'm teaching you how to close a sale. I'm teaching you how to do a proposal with video. it starts with that purpose. And I think that is really important because, to your point, Chris, nobody wants another tool in the tech stack because they don't see any benefit in it. So as we talk about this, we know that not only do I have to position it as how to prospect with video, but how to prospect with video more effectively in less time using the skills you already have in a new way. So we have to kind of position it that way. I have to write and rewrite my course descriptions to get people to show up, whether I'm inside the organization or outside the organization. It's really important. I mean, those marketing chops really come into play. I have to position it in such a way with that first to get them on. So that's the first thing. And many times you have to schedule it even if nobody's going to show up. You have to schedule it and put it out on the calendar that people can sign up and let them know, because often the value is in the replay. I mean, we do live training, of course, but people want to see the replay. They want to see the recording. They might want to watch it again. They might only want to see 5 or 7 minutes of it. So that's one of the ways we do that. I'm actually going to be doing 7-minute sales training. So I'm going to take a bunch of topics and I'm going to put that out, and I'm going to turn that into 7-minute sales training. How to prospect in 7 minutes, how to use video to prospect in 7 minutes, how to advance a sale in 7 minutes. Because most people, our attention span is really short. And so we have to do that. We have to find ways to do that. We also have to play with the camera angle. So that's where, Chris, I see, sometimes I'm just on screen, sometimes it's both of us. You brought in some video, you did that. You bring in some questions, things like that. You bring in some feedback from the audience. That's great. You use people's names. That's great. You do all of that. You ask for some interaction. So you ask a question and you get people to engage, and you call them out by name, because otherwise they're not paying attention. But if I say, Carrie, what do you think about this? Carrie's like, well, hold on, I might have missed that. And then instead of being a jerk like some trainers used to be in person, I don't assume that Carrie heard me. So Carrie, what I'm really asking you is this. Because first, it's almost like I say, hey, Alexa. Well, hey, Carrie, right? I want that activation word, which is our name. And then I ask the question again, and I have to be more gentle because we've got so much swirling around us. I have to be accepting of the fact that, you've got kids, you've got a dog, you've got a cat, you've got all of this swirling around you. I have to be able to juggle all of that, to recognize all of that, and acknowledge that it's all there and it's okay. So in addition to empathizing with my prospect, with my customer, I have to do that with my team, with the people that are training, with the people that are watching this video. Really, really have to be aware of that and give that empathy to the fact that, unfortunately, every second of my sales training is not riveting. That's okay.
What? So it's very interesting. I have to say something. I have a mild confession. I don't think I've almost ever seen you. I'm going to say almost ever seen you be grumpy. I don't think I've almost ever seen you be complaining. I think you do a really good job. You're almost Irish. I know who you are, but you're almost Irish in how you stuff that down. Irish people love to take all of our misery to the grave. We drink some of it on the way, and then we just, when we're dead, we'll think about it more. But like you said, calling people back, let me bring you back to the subject. Pep's on the set. Let me say that your post the other day did not escape me. You probably even deleted it for all I know. You were grumpy. Not everybody showed up to your training. You put it in a much more positive way. Hey, whatever. Sometimes people do whatever. But that was a disappointed mom. You made the awesome brie meal. You made the brie sandwiches and everything. You did all this time to kind of make it the most delicious cheese, delight in the world, and no one came to eat it, Phil. It's hard not to, but what's the benefit to being grumpy, and what's the benefit to doing it the Phil way?
Well, I think being grumpy, misery loves company. So you get people on board, they'll say, yeah, that sucks. It's the mob mentality. And people do that. And long-term, there's no benefit. I don't see any benefit. I have tried that in the past. It's been a while since I've just kind of gone out, ranted, whined, complained, because it doesn't benefit me long-term. I don't think about that. And it's funny you say that, Chris. I certainly didn't delete the post. I left it up, and everything isn't perfect. So the benefit, let's say, to being even is acknowledging that life isn't always perfect. But the the learning and the benefit of being more positive, of looking at it from gratitude of, I had the opportunity to spend 2 hours on an open mic to get some other work done, to be available for my team, and the benefit to actually try something new, to go into some uncharted territory. Well, hey, why not, right? Let's give it a shot here. What did I learn as a result of this? So a couple learnings, right? One, I learned if I don't put stuff on people's calendars, it isn't going to happen. So I need to actually take the time to invite them. Second, I need to be really crystal clear on what their benefit is. What it was is, hey, it's an email open lab. Come and improve your emails. We might all say, yep, I could improve my emails, but to what end? It's almost like giving them cash, right? I want to give you, I'm asking for your attention for an unclear objective. So that didn't work. So those are two things that I learned from that. The third thing that I learned from that is I didn't ask the leaders ahead of time for their buy-in. So they didn't push it down. I did have one leader who did single out a couple of folks on his team that said, hey, Chris, you've mentioned that you need some email training. You should maybe attend this with Phil. You should check this out. And while I appreciate that person, it was probably lost in their email stream because they don't do a good job of managing email already. So why would this help you? Why would this not help you? So those are some things that I learned. And frankly, the other thing, and this is where gratitude comes in for me, and it's a daily practice, right? 3 things that I think about every day that I'm grateful for. I am grateful that I have the opportunity to even think about things differently than everybody else, to have that mental capacity to say, well, what is good about this? What is positive about this? What can I take away? What can I share? And so that helps. So how does that help me? I showed you what that helps, but let me show you how that helps. So first, some days suck. That's true. They do. But if I can focus on the goodness, I get more of that goodness because it's what I observe in my surroundings. Like right now, if we flip the camera on, it is raining in Florida. It's 89 degrees, probably 148% humidity. Holy crap. I could whine about that, or I can think, wow, I'm really grateful to be inside today in a controlled environment. Grateful for air conditioning. 72 degrees, perfect here. I'm grateful for that. Chris, I'm grateful that I get to spend time with you, my pal of a long time, right?
So many years, Phil.
Yeah, I'm grateful for that, right? And I'm grateful for everybody that's following us here, right? Carrie and Nicole and Chloe and Carol and your parents. I mean, that's cool that mom and dad showed up. I mean, that's exciting, right? I haven't seen them in forever. So to see them pop up really makes me happy. So that if I focus on that, eventually, right, that'll come back to me because, and here's the key though, you can't just be grateful. I encourage you to write it down or post it somewhere so you can reflect back later. Because that's my thing. In a year, I'm going to have 365 amazing days of gratitude. So if today sucks, I'm just like, oh, look though, a year ago, I was walking along the Tampa Bay Riverwalk. And it was a gorgeous day at 6 a.m, right before sunrise. The sun was peeking up, and wow, what a great day. That's pretty cool. And that just shifts my attitude so I can get back to work. So it helps me be more productive as well.
All right, that forces another question. There are people who heard you start to tell that, and you were talking about it, and I was thinking you were going to talk about like a crazy person jumping out of bush. I immediately put a bunch of really negative sentences after "It's a beautiful day" at 6:30 in the morning. I wonder if it works for grumpy people too. But you know what? I'm just going to skip that because that's just me. And, I'm almost optimistic. I'm like optimistic adjacent. That's the way I like to look at it.
There you go. That's good.
But Carrie had a better question. Carrie said, hey, Phil, you were in a really serious car wreck in high school. Do you think that brush with disaster helped shape that mindset of gratitude?
I don't think initially it did, Carrie, but I think in looking back at it, it certainly did, right? And that's taken some time to really get my arms around. That was 1990, so that's 30 years ago now that I got in a car accident. And initially, it didn't change. I got, I think I hit 8 deer my junior and senior year of high school. Living in northern Wisconsin, you might think, holy crap, 8 deer, that's not that unusual. In fact, I hit 4 of them with the same car, a Datsun 210. the deer. Actually, the last one that I hit before we totaled the car. This is really funny. My baby brother was sitting next to me, so he was 10 or 11 years old. The deer, the windshield was already broken. We had duct tape around it to hold it together. The deer poked its snout through and it licked my brother in the face, and then the deer fell off the car and ran away. And I'm looking for the deer. My brother's like, he licked me. He licked me. I'm like, holy crap. But it didn't change my driving. It didn't make me more grateful. What it did do is it made me more aware. And I think awareness is the beginning of gratitude. We have to be aware. Chris, to your point about grumpiness, right? Does it work for grumpy people? Acknowledge where we are. Be aware of that. Start there. I'm feeling grumpy today. I'm having a bad day. I'm a grumpy person. That's cool. Acknowledge that first, and then move to something else, right? Then move on, then move forward. But it starts there. So yes, it works for a grumpy person. Yes, that brush with disaster helped, but it helped with awareness. Helped me realize I wasn't invincible. I wasn't Superman, but it certainly didn't help with gratitude. Gratitude is really, for me, maybe the last, 10 or 15 years only, and really focused in only the last couple years that it's been a practice.
It sure wasn't during the armed services, I have to imagine.
No.
I'm pretty sure they don't teach gratitude there.
No, well, no, they don't, right? It's compliance more than commitment. At least your first 4 years, like it was for me. Funny enough, Chris, yesterday was the day that I joined the Navy, or went to boot camp in Orlando, Florida, 28 years ago in 1992. Wow. So it's really interesting that we're talking today, because I remember, middle of the night, flying in, landing, getting on a bus, getting my head shaved, and then what the hell did I just do? Really? You shave my head? Really? I get a Foot Locker? Really? I've got to wear these dungarees?
Right.
Oh my gosh, right? That's so ridiculous to me to even think about having to do that. And that's back before the glasses. That's back before all of that. So I didn't wear glasses then, though I did at boot camp. I did sneak out to go get my eyes examined because I was colorblind. I found that out. Yeah, I found out it's color. That's why I'm not a nuclear engineer. That's why I'm not a fighter pilot, because I'm this much colorblind, red, green, and shade blind, which means if you grab a bundle of wires, which is what engineers, theoretically, right? An electrical engineer, they grab a bundle of 256 wires. What blue is it, Chris? Right. I can see that it's blue, but I can't tell you the shades. So I might snip the wrong wires. Or on a nuclear submarine, you can't have that, right? Because the lights go, and you have to be able to determine where that is. So it's really interesting.
That's why your scene defusing the bomb is about 8 seconds. I get it now. Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
Deborah says, my favorite Deborah Linehan out of all the Deborah Linehans I know, she says, gratitude begets or helps us to recognize more things to be grateful for. Yes. I've rebooted that practice recently when I got sick of my own griping. I haven't hit that yet. I haven't really hit that. This is we can turn this question into a sales question. Yeah. This is Carrie asked the question. So when you talk to Boston people like us, we tend to believe it's, it can't possibly be legit. Like it is, there is no really positive people put us on our back foot. Is there any conversation in sales like that? Because it is a dance, right? It's the call and the response that matter. And you're a pro at like tuning to that. Do you teach that in training, or is that just too advanced?
Well, I do teach that, but that is very advanced because it's beyond mirroring. Let's be super clear. Mirroring is a technique that almost every sales trainer will say you mirror the person that you're talking to. And that's great, but that's also really weird and uncomfortable at first. So you have to really feel them before you can mirror them. And by that, I mean, it can't be the first thing that you do. Right. Though my buddy Greg Williams would say, right, he's a negotiator, a body language expert. He'd say, the sooner you do that, the better. But I would argue you need to not fake that, because they might be making that gesture to test you, especially executives in sales. They're going to test you. They're going to see, right? If you scratch your nose, do you scratch your nose? And if you're mirroring just a mirror, you're obnoxious. So instead, you should take the time to actually feel them. But yeah, that's the first thing is you just draw a cross on your sheet of paper, and you say, are they fast or slow? Are they people or are they tasks based on what they talk about? Faster people talk faster. just a little bit, not unnaturally. You don't need to talk like a chipmunk, not on 2x on Overcast, but you do need to talk a little bit faster. And tasker people. If they talk about people and the people that they work with, the people that they care about, this is why you want to break the ice with something that isn't super work related, so you can get to the point of rapport. You can see, where do they lean? What's important to you? What are you working on? And you talk about, oh, cool, I can't wait because I get to work with Carrie. I get to work with Ted. I get to work with all these cool people. Or I'm working on this great project and that great project and that great project. So just pay attention to that and then use that to be your guide. Use that to be your guide because that will help you. And to that point about Bostonians or anyone really, the point of that is just be sensitive to that. If you see them backing up, right? If you see them on their back foot, then stop advancing.
Right.
The goal is not to get them to retreat. The goal is to get them to meet you where you are. So that's what I would say.
I have a real life story about that because I met someone who is really wonderful and has insane social anxiety. And I got so excited that she actually had made it to the event that I kind of, got close to her as I was talking to her louder and louder, realizing after that what I was doing was her worst nightmare. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to see you. She was like, ah! And she has a speech impediment to make this worse. So she couldn't say words, nothing. It locked her. And I was like, oh, good. Awesome, Brogan. Good.
Yeah.
So,
but even me, right, Chris, I'm super over the top energizing. That's my natural state, but I can adjust. I can slow down. I can be more, again, that's that empathy word.
Right.
I can empathize with your style and slow mine down. Flexibility and self-awareness are really important sales and leadership understandings. If you can slow down, if you can be aware that you're fast, like I'm super aware that my high energy is not for everybody. That's important. And then the flexibility to say, okay, maybe I should change because they're probably not going to. It's really, really important to be able to do that. And I would say, if you can do those two things, right, be aware and then be flexible, you can sell, you can lead, you can coach, you can train, you can be successful because that's really what you need.
I've got a kind of last important question, and then who knows what'll happen. But a lot of people, including myself back in the day, a lot of people will like to tell you that they're not good at sales. But a lot of people say that because they just never had any real training whatsoever, and that they're not operating from any template to start from. If you had to give someone the simplest of templates, if you had to, you're only going to be able to train them for a short little while, and you're not going to get to, this is awful. You're throwing them in the deep end. Like, here you go, kid. And you got to know it's not exactly an important product if that's what happened, but that's what happened. What's the thinnest, simplest thing? And by the way, remember that Jack Vincent, sales and love are connected to Jack. You know him. You've got a very anxious crowd here. So some people here think they're not salespeople. Some people here are sales experts. What do you teach us in that room, Phil?
Sure. So first thing, you have to shift your mindset. Shift from sales to service. To sell is to serve. That's the first thing. Get that mindset on. Understand that whether you're in sales or not, to sell is to serve. Super important. You get that mindset right, then you need to think about, okay, who's my ideal customer and what challenges do they have that I can help them overcome? Think about those challenges, right? And if you have a sales leader that's talking to you, that's great. If not, you need to think problem first. Problem first. What problems am I trying to help sell? Don't build the product yet if you're a small business person, right? Don't pitch yet, but do understand that. Then slow down and do your best to listen, to have conversations with folks over and over again. Find out, validate that. See if you solve it by offering some suggestions. Offer some suggestions of what might solve it. The other night, I had a potential coaching client that contacted me, and at the end of the call, I said the magic closing words, not a Ben Franklin close, not a doorknob close, two-legged close. You can read about all the closes you want. Just do a Google search for, all the different ways to close. But instead, it was more like my friend James Muir's perfect close. Well, it sounds to me like it makes sense that we should do business together. What do you think is the next step? What do you propose as the next right thing? So we've got the right mindset. We've got some skills here where question asking is there, listening, empathy is there, and then ask for the sale. If we do a great job of that, if we realize that to sell is to serve, and we serve one person, then we can take that one person, we can then, after we're done serving them, as soon as they're satisfied, say, hey, Chris, would you be willing to write up a testimonial for me that says the problem that you had before, how that we overcame it and how that benefited you, and talk about a little bit about your business, because testimonials are made to help people overcome their objections. So as we do that, we've got that, then we can go back and then we can use some referral selling. Then we can go back and say, I helped Chris Brogan out. He's a small business owner. He had this problem. And if this is a problem that might be one of yours, as we're talking, as we're listening, don't take it from me that I'm awesome. Here's some thoughts from Chris Brogan that might be really helpful for you. So we do that. And then we have to remember, last but not least, and Jeff Shore just wrote a great book about this. It'll be out very soon. It's about follow-up. We have to follow up, not in an annoying way. I want to be really clear. When I say follow up, I don't mean you actually put in the subject line of your email or in your phone conversation, Chris, I'm following up with you. I'm circling back. I'm checking in. No. We do that by adding more value to the conversation to help them understand more of the value that you could provide by giving them those free samples on the phone, in email, all of that. We put that together. Now we've got a quick sales process, really simple, right? Mindset first, target market second, who we do, what problem do we solve third. From there, we have those conversations. We ask for the sale. We follow up as needed, and then we build referrals. Super simple process, but really that's all sales is. And that's in what, 4 minutes? I mean, you can do that. You can do that.
Deborah's going to use it to get some dates, by the way. I just wanted to know.
Well, for sure, right? And she's joking, likely, or maybe not, but it is absolutely the same. Relationships are relationships.
Right.
The goal is to build them, right? Value over volume all day long.
That's Jack Vincent. A sale is a love affair. There's you draw. I thought my milkshake brought all the boys to the yard, but you evidently bring a lot of salespeople to the yard.
I certainly try to, absolutely. And it's a vanilla milkshake because that way you can add your own fixins to your liking.
Gosh, Phil. Gosh. Did you ever intentionally take improv training?
I've never taken improv.
It.
No.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. I did hang out with a couple of improv folks. I like Drew Tarvin a lot. My buddy Matt Kemple, he's an improv guy, but nope, never taken training. It's on the list. I've played with Comedy Sports. For sure, right? Like they brought me up if they've come in for corporate stuff, but no, it's on my list. Kathy Klote's guest is fantastic, right? She's one of my favorite improv peeps.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, big fan of Kathy. Yep,
good stuff. All right, Phil, I have one final question, and I don't even know if you can answer it because I don't know if this is secret. Because some people have their secrets. You're a man of many secrets, Phil. You have a show right now that people know about, Conversations with Phil. There's a new show on the horizon. Is that a secret, or is that like barely public knowledge, or what's the story about the next month?
Well, I've done a poor job of advertising it if it isn't a secret. So the Inside Sales Show comes out first week of August. It'll be at InsideSalesShow.com. You can follow the Twitter, follow the Instagram. That'll be jamming soon with a lot of my sales training available for folks to get at the website as well. That 7-minute sales training, you'll be able to go to 7minuteSalesTraining.com, either spelled out or otherwise, right? That'll go to the weekly videos. The podcast will be up at InsideSalesShow.com. I'll also be giving away books of my smart friends who are in sales. I own salesbookgiveaway.com. It'll be there as well. So lots and lots of stuff will bounce off of InsideSalesShow.com. Haven't talked about it much yet, but the goal there, if I think about the problems that I solve for people, first, it's better prospecting, identifying your target, right? Having those approaches, having those conversations. Sometimes it could be developing your own sales playbook so that you take that simple stuff that I just talked about and put that in practice so that then you can adjust from there. It's how to practice. How do we do that? From there, right, it's how do we ask for the business? And let's not forget all the way back in the beginning, we have to build our personal brand. So it's getting dressed before you get busy. How do we look matters to our customers more than ever, especially digitally. Because if you think about it, our LinkedIn profile is the #1 thing people see. If they Google your name, LinkedIn is going to come up first because Microsoft owns LinkedIn. Even if you have a .com, top 5 is going to be your LinkedIn profile. And that's the one that looks the most legit because you can't control it all. You get people that interact with you. You get people that comment on your posts. You get people that leave social proof. You get people that say you're good or that disagree with you. It's got all the things there. So when people ask me like, hey, so where should I go? Well, go to LinkedIn, right? You'll see everything that I do. And I would encourage you to do the same, right? Your LinkedIn is your gold mine. But yeah, Inside Sales Show, early August, coming soon. Check it out. It should be fun.
Wow, someone spent their GoDaddy birthday gift certificate really well.
Yes, $11.17. Thank you very much.
That was a lot of URLs there. Inside Sales Show, 7-minute sales tips.
Training.
Okay. Yep. Oh my gosh, a 7-minute sales training. That was there were a few, but I'm sure that like you do, you tend to line them all up, put them all together, make them all very visible as you will. Phil Gerbyshak, this was, as always, I mean, that's the thing. You know, one of the sad things about being Phil is that he's so expectably and predictably good that you don't have to wonder. You don't have to think, how will this show go? You almost just forget because it's just Phil. I'm kicking you out because I think we hit what we needed to hit. I think we know what we need to know. And I need to leave him wanting a lot more Phil because life's better with more Phil in it.
I agree. Thank you, brother.
Well, thank you. This was so much fun. Chloe says this was the best. You know, everybody else will just send their comments almost right after we hang up because that's how it goes. But it's because I'm fast with these buttons, Phil. I am fast. I'm fast at whatever the other one was you said I was or wasn't. So I'm hitting the button. Everybody get the hell out of here. Good talking to you.